And away we go. It is the BCJ podcast brought to you by the Holy Grail right here on BearcatJournal.com. Saturday, 8 p.m., Holy Grail at the Banks, BCJ watch party. Our second of the year, the first one that I will be able to make because I was at a volleyball tournament last time. But I will be there. Maybe Dave will be there. Who knows? The dignitaries that are going to arrive Saturday night as you head down to the Banks to watch the Bearcats take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. First trip for the football team to Lubbock. Hopefully they can find their way home. But first, come join us. Order a bunch of Cincy Lights. 50 cents from every Cincy Light purchase at the Holy Grail, in addition to the normal donation for the beverage. An extra 50 cents will be added to the Cincy Reigns NIL collective. So come down, join us, drink a bunch of Cincy Lights, and hopefully watch the Bearcats make their long journey home from Lubbock with the W. All right, let's get this show on the road. First off, Dave, we were working on, just to pull back the curtain, because we had teased this a little bit. I just want some clarity for people that have, our loyal listeners. We were working on having a autograph session with the basketball team prior to this game. Practice started on Monday. We thought it would be a great time. Work with Cincy Reigns, charge some money for, a nominal fee for some autographs. That goes into the Cincy Reigns NIL fund. Basketball team gets to come down, meet the public. Thought it would be a great idea. 8 o'clock kind of torpedoed our plans. They have practice that afternoon. Then I think they get Sunday off since they have been going all week, and they did not want to come hang out with us, unfortunately.
Well, they probably didn't know if I was going to be there for sure. So
that's the thing. You never come. So they were like, well, Dave's not going to be there. And right. I'm like, he might be. And they were like, no way.
Yeah.
No way.
Right.
So, yeah. But unfortunately, they won't be able to make it down to the event. But we will all still be there. And it should be a great time, as always. Great food, great drinks. Get some Cincy Light and support Cincy Reigns. Hi, Dave.
Hi.
Boy, you missed out on a fun one Monday.
So I've heard. Been a little busy this week, so hoping that this hoping we get lucky with this post-hurricane weather, because I don't really feel like running a festival in over an inch of rain.
Well, I checked this morning. It said it was supposed to take a left turn at Albuquerque. Is it not supposed to do that anymore?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Guess we'll see.
All right. Well, as such, Dave, we did not talk about the football game that happened this past Saturday for more than maybe 30 seconds on Monday night. It is a record for fewest words said by Brent in a BBP that will never, ever, ever be broken.
Next week he's going to try to make up for lost time.
He was so frustrated because he couldn't join the conversation because Marty just kept going.
Steer the ship.
I mean, we asked under 10 questions in a 2.5-hour show with 2.5 hours, one guest, the whole 2.5 hours. We asked under 10 questions, and Marty we wound him up and went. Aaron had a great idea. The next time we do like a marathon, we do a subathon, we do something, Marty's coming.
Oh, he could fill like a whole couple hours on his own. That's like a time for you guys to go like shower, get some lunch. Right. Yeah.
So yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, it's phenomenal. Somebody on the board called it a beautiful disaster. That's exactly what it was. It was outstanding. The plan was to have Sean Kilpatrick, Marty on Monday, Sean Kilpatrick on Wednesday. But then we didn't get to talk about anything on Monday, so we got to talk about stuff today. Next week is a bye, so I'm going to try to get SK to join us next week, so that way we have a show. essentially. But yeah, that's Marty was one for the history books.
You knew what you were getting.
Oh, I knew. They did not know. They might have had like Ryan didn't know. Ryan had no idea. Ryan walked into that thing blind. I told Aaron and Brent what it was going to be like, and I think they underestimated what I was trying to what I was putting down.
He's a special cat.
It was something. we have never done anything like that. So tonight we're gonna get back to our roots, Dave. We're gonna talk football. I had a friend. This is how popular this show is, Dave. So this is wild. Last night, Kelsey's team played. The team that they played, someone that I grew up with is the head coach of that team.
Okay.
I have not seen her in like 25 years. But I knew her from middle school. Like, her and one other girl were like best friends, and we were friends like in middle school and high school. Not seen her in 25 years. So see her last night. Tonight, Kelsey had another game, sitting there, and the friend that I had not seen in 25 years had a kid on the team we played tonight. Two girls, haven't seen in 25 years, saw them both in back-to-back nights. But I was like, how did you even? She's like, I saw you walk by, and it's funny because one time, like a decade ago, my husband was watching a podcast or something, and I heard this voice, and I looked at him, and I was like, who is that? And he said it was you. She's like, he's a huge UC fan. He walked in with almost this exact quarter zip on. He had long sleeves, and the Under Armour was over here instead of underneath. He walked in, and I was like, that's him. we matched. We got matching outfits.
Yeah, I had several people at the game come up and say they love the shows. So, we're becoming.
Be honest. Did they say they love this show, or did they say,
my show?
Man, I love the Bearcat Brunch?
Yes, that, of course.
Yeah. Oh, brother. So 34-0. Cincinnati takes down Houston. I think people and I understand people downplaying it a little bit. Houston's not good. Like, let's they're not good.
They stink. I don't think they're going to win another game.
But
if you're a good team, or
that's what you do,
or you fancy being a good team, you beat them 34-0 and pretty much dominate the entire game.
Yeah, you're up 25-0 at halftime. The entire game, they had really one drive that was the result of a busted coverage. And that was
they got inside the R32 two other times, both resulted in fumbles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think Jeff and I said it Sunday morning. You gave up
on the Bearcat Brunch, your show,
my show, Jeff's show. Yeah, 200 and something yards, and 52 of it was on one play, and I think they ran 54 scrimmage plays. So you essentially gave up 180 yards on 53 plays.
Yeah.
They passed for under 100 yards.
Get the job done.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna take a ton from it. Like, I was skeptical about Houston's defense being like good, basing that off of yards allowed numbers. Like, okay, great, you didn't allow a bunch of yards. All their other metrics said that they were not like this, great defense. But from us defense, so again, they couldn't pass the ball at all. that was some of the worst passing offense I've ever seen. So, I still think we have some unanswered questions about the defense. And I think we'll get more of those answers this week and in the preceding weeks. But that is 2 weeks in a row that, regardless of opponent, that I feel like the defense has been pretty good. to really good. And you've just seen way less. I mean, in the Miami game, in the past game at least, you did see a few bigger plays, and then you obviously saw the one Saturday, which I think, it's time to call it what it is and say, like, you can't be good for one or two of those a game or more. Like, you got to get that part cleaned up. Whether it's, you can tell me all you want that this guy missed an assignment or this guy fell down. Like, you're not going to be able to, like, slow teams down, good teams in the Big 12 down if you're routinely giving up 3-4, 30 to 50 to 70-yard plays.
Yeah, one or two are going to happen in a league like this.
Yeah, because offenses are good. Like, they're gonna make, just like we make them. I mean, I put that out on Twitter yesterday. No one in the country has more 40-yard plays than we do. So teams are gonna make plays on you.
But you're right; it can't happen 3, 4, 5 times like regularly in critical junctures of games. That is
you can get away with it against Houston because
because otherwise they can't move the ball.
Right. And that's what I had said in our preview last week when I was talking about all their receivers and how half of their yards were coming on one catch. So it was, do whatever it is they do and try to hit a big play.
Dan Hort said this. I'm interested in your thought. He said, and I think it was during one of the highlights, like, with his calls, like, over the video. This is starting to look like, and it's not there yet, and it might not get there this year, but it's starting to look like Iowa State's version of this 3-3-5 defense. Agree? Disagree?
I mean, starting to look like, I think there's a big variance in there. I'm not going to go that far yet because I thought the linebackers played better. But I need to see it. I need to see it more against, like, I do not think Miami and Houston will have very good offenses for this season when everything
agree with that.
When everything plays out. So
Miami can't run the ball at all, and Houston can't pass the ball at all.
No. So I think I need to see a little bit more against and against varying teams, because we're going to get, we're going to have the bye in between, but I think we're going to get two pretty polar opposites over these next two games. We're going to get a team that runs a lot of RPO with a really good running back, but for some reason through the first 4 games, it's not really running it as much as I thought that they would. They're kind of on like a 60-40 split. And then we're going to see a team that runs the ball excellent with a running quarterback and a very good running back and a very good number 2 running back in Penny Boone in, I guess, technically 2.5 weeks. So, I'll talk to me about defense and is this, after these 2 games. And it might not have anything to do with winning and losing, but I just want to see him against some guys that could actually threaten you. Because, like, I think you could have played base against Houston on every play and been totally fine with it. Like, they threw the ball sideways and lost yards. Like, Joseph Manjack ended up with less than 52 yards receiving, and he had a 52-yard catch.
It's a great stat. Outstanding.
So, like, I just want to see it. I think it's getting better, but I just want to make sure.
I'm not saying it's there. I'm not even saying it's good. I'm just saying in style of play where, like,
I think the 3 safety look is like Josh Minkins has made plays against
Derek
Pitt.
Canteen has made plays.
Yeah, against Pitt and against Houston that tells me that, like, okay, these are the type of interceptions that you can get with the 3 safety look, because that route that the receiver ran for Houston, he didn't run a great route. Like, he didn't, it just wasn't a good finish to his route. He didn't stem it good. But the quarterback, in his mind, he's probably not expecting a safety to be there.
Right.
Because usually it's too high, and so there's nobody really in the middle, or you're kind of single high with the other safety more in box-ish.
Right.
So with the interception against Pitt was clearly from a not thinking that a safety was going to be there, because he literally just played. It was like he was tracking a fly ball in the interception against Pitt. So
and I was standing behind the quarterback. From the quarterback's view, that is a wide open post route touchdown. As soon as he broke and left the corner, I'm like, damn, that's 6. And then because of the safety, Minkins comes over and makes a play.
So I think we're seeing it a little bit on that side. I want to see more of it in how they handle the run.
I agree.
Against a team like these next 2 games, like Taj Brooks has ran for 95 yards or more in 14 of his last 16 games, and then RJ Harvey might be the leading rusher in the country. If he's not, he's very, very close. I know he's not, because
the kid from Boise State. He's my favorite running back.
I was going to say Ashton Genty is leading the nation because he's averaging 10.6 yards a carry, and
they give it to him a lot.
Yeah, he's awesome. If RJ is not second, he's definitely in the top 5. So I just want to see, because we talked a lot in the first couple of weeks about it felt like the ends were crashing, but the linebackers weren't replacing. So let me see that against a team like Texas Tech that's going to run RPO and going to spread you out and then going to run off of it. How's the eye discipline for the linebackers? Are they coming because they want to work the middle of the field in the pass game, which is smart because you run RPO with the running back, and when you don't give the ball to the running back, the linebackers are taking a step or 2 up, and then they're throwing behind them. And we'll obviously get into much. This is also the fun part about being in the Big 12 with a team that is actually, I think, okay/good, is doing the research on the other team matters this year instead of last year where it was it kind of doesn't matter. But yeah, it'll just be interesting to see how do the linebackers and the defensive line defend a team that is going to run RPO. The quarterback's not going to run, though. It's either give it to Taj Brooks or throw
or pass.
Yeah.
It's a true RPO.
Yeah.
The option is the back or you're in the passing game.
Right.
But back to Houston, or at least thoughts on where things are at after Houston. I think that's more of what this show is.
It'll be hard not to continue to belabor the end of the Pitt game because you're looking at that and you're like, man, this team could be 4-0 and could actually really be going in a good direction. But I kind of take it as they had the end of the Pitt game and I think they played their 2 best games, complete games after that.
Right.
Which is the
question. I like how they bounced back.
Which is the question that we asked. Is all that talk horse shit? Or are you really gonna, regardless of how good or bad Miami and Houston are, that is more about you than it is about them. So I'm encouraged. We don't need to get into but I think I have a pretty good idea of what the Big 12 team is right now, and the teams that UC is going to play the rest of the way. If you can steal just one road game, I'm not worried. I mean, they might not win them, but 3 home games, those teams don't scare me.
Right.
So,
God knows where West Virginia is going to be by that point.
I mean, West Virginia, Arizona State, and TCU, those are 3 pretty, if you had to hand pick them, those would, it'd probably be those 3 and Baylor, maybe.
Houston.
Well, I mean, but if I had to pick, right.
No, I'm saying you might have the top 4
that you would want to have at home when you're trying to get bowl eligible. Yeah. I mean, Baylor might be thrown in there because if they lose this week at home to BYU, then that's probably a done deal for Dave Aranda. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to ask me, you're trying to get to a bowl game after a 3-9 season, who do you want to play in your 4 home games? Yeah, I'm probably picking those 4, maybe Baylor instead of West Virginia or something. But
yeah.
So
I agree.
but that's the thing. I want to see, now. Okay, we think this team is okay. I mean, they're 50th
okay.
they're 50th in SP plus. Okay, a 50th ranked team in SP plus is assuming they we'll see what happens this week, but they would be favored at Colorado. They're higher than them. They're higher than TC or higher than Texas Tech. But go show me that you're different. Go show me you can go win on the road. Go show me you can score enough points or get enough stops against a team that I think even if you take out their 66-point game against North Texas, I think they're still the highest scoring team in the league. So you're gonna need to score in the 30s to win this game, point blank.
Yeah,
they're not going to win this game if they're not in the 30s.
Texas Tech's going to score 30.
I would, yeah, probably.
At home, maybe if it was here.
Right. I mean,
they had a bad game.
The Washington State game, the quarterback turned it over 4 times. So, I mean, he had 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles. So they didn't score 30 that game. But, I mean, you're probably going to need to, outside of something crazy, like 4 turnovers happening, you're probably going to need to score in the 30s to win.
Yeah. Where are you at so far on Brendan Sorsby?
I mean, whatever they paid for him, it's well worth it. I mean, let's just be honest.
He's impressive.
Coach and quarterback are the 2 most important things in college football.
Yeah.
And I said it Sunday, this is not to take shots. And I know it wasn't just a quarterback thing. I mean, we had issues protecting, we had issues with guys getting open. But it's very hard to watch the first 4 games and say that they ran the full complement of what they would have liked to run.
I saw somebody I like how Satterfield's changed his play calling this year. No, he's just calling the plays.
These are all the same plays he would have liked to have called last year.
He would have called every single one of them.
But you should, and this is a thing that we kind of bemoaned the Pitt loss with, is be about players, not plays. We were yeah, you should have been about Corey Kiner, and you want to run. Yeah. You shouldn't be running the RPO because that puts another guy in. Just be about the plays that put your best players in. So when you look at the Miami game, and especially the Miami game, Sorsby was okay. I mean, he wasn't great. He wasn't bad. And Pitt game, he was pretty damn good until the 4th quarter, and then this week he was really good. It's yeah, they can run some different plays when you've got bona fide number 1 wide receiver. You've got good line play. You've got a true tight end that can threaten the middle of the field. And you have a high level running back. And then some nice complementary pieces as your other pass catchers. I guarantee you this is not a new playbook. Scott Satterfield's playbook is more than 10 years old. There's been modifications and adjustments, but
sure.
I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of plays that he's calling this year that he would have been man, would have liked to ran this one against this defense last year. But we didn't have the quarterback, or we didn't have the tight end that could run that seam route or that crosser that with a line that gives Sorsby enough time to wait for that play to develop. Or the play on the second drive to Jamoy Mays coming across. I mean, he might have been his 3rd option on that play. Last year, we didn't have a quarterback that could get to that, partly because we didn't have a line that could give him enough time to get to that, partly because we didn't have a number 2 receiver who could run that route right.
Boy.
So
Wiggins was a hell of a disappointment.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, go back and watch, and I know it's rare, but watch a time last year where Emory was in the pocket and had a good pocket, and compare that to Sorsby in a clean pocket. And watch Sorsby's head. You can see it every time he moves from, check to check. And with Emory, it was there was no, it was like this, right? It's like a bobblehead almost. It wasn't like laser focused.
One read and go. Because
but I'm saying even when he had a clean pocket, it was you could never. I don't remember once really seeing him like 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what I mean? You can see Sorsby working through. Okay, that's not there. Okay, where's this? Okay, that like the computer model is being run on a much higher RPM with Sorsby back there.
So. And the 2 touchdown throws, too, as we're told now to refer to him as Hendo. Those were just great throws and great catches. Like that was good coverage.
Yeah,
and like if the DB knocked those, Tuesday, Dave. The DBs knocked those away or something, maybe you end up settling for field goals. It's a totally different game, but that's where having that like sometimes the defense is going to have the right call and the defense is going to be in good coverage. You still need to be able to make the play. Not everything is going to be just dudes running wide open and you're you're practically throwing it off your back foot like you're playing 500 and they can just sit there and wait. Like you're going to have to make plays. And I think they have guys now that can actually like, great, you made the right call and your coverage is good. We can still complete this pass or we still have confidence to throw this ball. So, yeah, I think that's definitely a big plus.
Jacob, welcome. We're going to talk more about you than we're going to talk about us. So, welcome to the show. Yeah, so that's the thing. The other thing, though, like you mentioned earlier, like offensively, you've got a number one, you've got a pass catching tight end, you've got a good line, you've got a bell cow running back, you got other guys you can throw it to, and then you have a quarterback that seemingly is pretty comfortable piecing it all together. And let's be honest, playing quarterback is a lot more comfortable when, let's be honest, some quarterbacks only go through 2 or 3 reads in their progression because they know read 4 can't make a play. Like you don't even have to look at him. You know he's a blocker or you know what I mean? Like that guy, I don't trust that guy. I don't think there's anybody in this offense that Sorsby really doesn't have a great deal of trust in right now to make a play.
I mean, obviously the quarterback play has been good. I'm most pleased, I think, though, with the offensive line and the pass protection, just because you're not going to get those opportunities if you can't protect.
Right.
And he hangs in there, and I love it. And he'll take a shot, and he'll wait till the last second to deliver a ball. And I think that gives the line even more confidence that they've got a guy willing to stand in there. But like, you know,
I don't have to be perfect.
You don't see a lot of college quarterbacks get through those types of progressions, mainly because they don't have time to.
Right.
It's offensive lines in college are kind of, I mean, shit. Offensive lines in the NFL are rough. You think there's enough offensive linemen to be good at 130-something college teams?
Right. That's the continuity, though, and I thought Wilder looked good. He wasn't perfect, but I thought he looked good.
I laughed that he was put back in the game on the last drive.
Get him some reps, Dave.
Yeah.
Get him out there.
They moved Ethan Green over to left and took John Williams out. But yeah, I was like, why is he back in the game? This seems unnecessary.
Well, I mean, they could have put Buford there, or I think Lozowicki might have been a little dinged up, so I don't know if he was available this week.
Yeah.
Anywho, so yeah, that's about all I've got on, like, kind of putting a bow on Houston week.
Right.
You did what you were supposed to do. You're not supposed to shut anybody out. That's not how it works. That's not what I mean. What I mean is you were supposed to be better than Houston. You went out there, you proved you were better than Houston. So that's the read on looking back at that and putting a bow on it. Marty wasn't happy with a couple things. I think he said one of the touchdown passes, Hendo, didn't run a route to his liking, and he made the catch tougher than it should have been. Should have been an easier catch. He also said that if him and Sauce went one-on-one 10 times, that he would win 9, and he would let Sauce win the first one so that he knew like what his plan was to guard Marty. And then the next 9 times Marty would win.
Okay. I like the confidence. I like the confidence. Hey. Marty's pretty good.
He was. I mean, that would have been so much fun to watch those two guys get after it, because the trash talk would have been epic.
Does Sauce have to cover him from the slot? Or is Marty going to line up outside?
I don't know. Maybe you have to mix it up and do a little both. He also told us, Dave, I want to get your reaction on this one. Ryan asked him the like worst thing that he could tell us that's ever happened to him on a football field. He said it was in the Virginia Tech game, and it was on kickoff, and he got tackled, and he was at the bottom of the pile. And a dude from Virginia Tech was like hunching him, and leaned in and looked at him in the eyes and said, "Oh, oh."
Yeah, that would probably scare me a little bit. I might have a hard time concentrating on the play call for a few minutes after that.
That needs to be in like a football movie.
I don't know that hard time is the phrasing that I would have picked, but
that needs like, doesn't that need to be in like one of those like, football movies?
Longest Yard.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's an intimidating defensive lineman or linebacker. Anywho. You haven't seen it yet. So every time it's like so much happened that I'm like flashing back to different points.
Yeah, I know. I'm certainly not going to be able to like get to it this week, so I don't,
Was it Diddy?
I'll have to carve out. I'll have to carve out some serious time if I'm gonna catch that one.
It is something. It's absolutely something. All right, let's get to Texas Tech here. The opponent preview is brought to you by Homefield Apparel, the best college sports apparel in the market. Can't miss kickoff 2024. They just released a new line. They took some of the old designs, Dave, and put them on like a thicker t-shirt quality, more of like maybe like a fall or a spring t-shirt type material. So the 1962 national championship t-shirt is available in that design, and the one I have upstairs, Dave, the 1992 Great Midwest Conference Championship shirt. It's one of my favorites. It's right up there.
I was at the 1992 Great Midwest Tournament in Chicago as a young fella, and I actually have the program autographed by the entire team and Bob Huggins.
Wow.
Yeah. Little 11-year-old Dave running around there with I made some signs, something about like eating tigers, Memphis, and I remember we all took all the fans took like a bus trip to Chicago. It was me and my grandparents.
That was a big thing back then. Bus trips to Chicago. You'll still see it with some Cubs games at Wrigley. There'll be places around town that will do that.
Yeah, I remember that United Center was pretty new then. So yeah, I remember that trip. Good team.
But one of my favorites is rocking that 1992 Great Midwest Champion. The only one that's right near the top of that list for me, Dave, the 1954 baseball shirt. That is another fire piece of the Homefield Apparel collection. So go to homefieldapparel.com, enter code BCJ24, get 20% off your first purchase. That's also a Turtles Brew timestamp. Dave, 6% ABV, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, gluten-free. I mean, that just sounds delicious. Sounds delightful. bourbon infused sweet tea. They have lemonade tea, strawberry mint, cherry lime, raspberry peach, orange vanilla. There's over 100 locations throughout Ohio. Visit turtlesbrew.com for more information and to find the nearest Turtles Brew outlet near you. Everybody that I've given at Turtles Brew loves it. That was, like I said, Gary, my guy at Turtles Brew, gave me a box that had a bunch of the 12-ounce pouches. So I've been letting people I know sample them to, get market feedback. And everybody who generally, we're a pretty honest group, Dave. If it's not good, you're gonna say, no,
right,
bro, that ain't it.
Yeah,
everybody that's had Turtles Brew has been very happy with the product. You included. You haven't had a pouch though, but
I have not. I have not.
So let's get to it. You mentioned, and this on offense for them, Taj Brooks is the lifeblood of that offense. Yes, they do throw it quite a bit. They get it out quick. They try to beat you in a couple different ways. They will kind of, once they feel like they've lulled you to sleep, make an attempt to go over the top on you. So you've got to be disciplined every snap. But this Taj Brooks is the straw that stirs the drink.
Oh yeah, he's really, really good. I mean, 5.3 yards a carry this year, like I said earlier. I think it's 14 out of 16 games. He's rushed for at least 95. They have a backup running back, Cam Dickey, also good. He's only carried 21 times this year, but he's averaging 6 a game. So good running team. Have been a good running team. I mean, you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna get a much, much better idea of has the run game taken actual strides, or was it Miami centric and getting up 21-0 very quickly on Houston? That essentially, they still ran it, which I laughed at. You brought in a backup quarterback and he still only threw the ball 5 times and he played the whole second half. But I am interested in the numbers. I'm very interested in this because I kind of looked at the splits of Baron Morton, their quarterback. Their splits on the Arizona State, Washington State game versus I think it was, I don't know who the team was that almost beat them, the FCS team that they had to go to overtime with or win at the very end, and then North Texas. So against the two teams that are similar to UC and just that they're power 4 teams, whatever, everybody knows I cite SP Plus because it's a very easy thing to get, and everybody pretty much that follows college football knows what it is. Defensively, ASU is 51st, UC is 56th, and Washington State is 83rd. So they're all, kind of in that same general ballpark. There's no one that's like dog shit terrible, but there's no one that is having like an elite defense right now.
Right.
Those 2 games, because that's why you can't necessarily always box score it. Those 2 games, he's 58 for 102 for 524 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 2 fumbles. That's 5.1 yards per attempt, which is not good. And then if you go even deeper, when using game on paper, he's 5.2 yards per drop back. The median, so that's taking every quarterback in the country into account, is 6.22. So he's a full yard lower than the median in yards per drop back. And then you want to compare that to what Sorsby is against Pitt and Houston, and he's 8.67 yards per drop back. So almost 3.5 yards more per drop back. And then even if you want to go even further and say, okay, let's throw the G5 games in there, North Texas, Miami. North Texas defense is 128. There's 134 teams in Division I. And Miami's is 45th. So I think UC has definitely played, whether it's Pitt, Miami, and Houston, has definitely played, more stout defenses so far this year compared to what Texas Tech has played. If you want to look at, whether it's QBR or QB rating, the QB rating for Morton against the two P4 teams is 106. The QB rating overall or against the other two teams is 227. So you're talking about over 100-point difference from the FCS G5 to the P4. Then kind of the same thing. QBR is 42 against the P4 teams, 82 against the other two teams. So there is a pretty wide gap in how he's played against probably a defense similar. Again, UC's defense is not great. We don't think it's great. We're not sitting here telling you it's great. We think it might be getting a little bit better, but it's in line with the two teams that they played that he did not put up good numbers against.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we thought the Cincinnati defense was pretty bad. Now we think they're not as bad.
I mean, yeah, according to Bill Conley, SP Plus, they are a better than their front half of the nation defense.
Right.
Again, how much of that is Miami? How much of that is Houston? That's what I'm trying to
find out.
Temper and just say, I just want to see some more because I don't think those offenses are any good. But if you're a bad defense, they would have done things against you.
Right.
So they like to work the middle of the field a lot. So that's why I was talking a bunch about the linebackers and the RPO and how do they play that. And then I think how does the three safety look play into that? Can we get one of those middle interceptions that they've gotten in a couple games? I was listening to a Texas Tech podcast and they were talking about, is he kind of a one-read quarterback? And they play super fast. They're averaging over 80 plays a game. That tends to make you kind of be a one-read quarterback because it's get the ball, throw, get to the line, snap, let's go. You're not
get to the line, make a quick read.
Right.
This is my matchup. Bang.
Right. If the guy is off, we're going to RPO it and I'm going to throw it. If the guy is up, we're going to RPO it and I'm going to hand it off. Stuff like that. So, quick game. Linebackers better be on it, run and pass, because he's going to throw it behind you if you're taking too many steps up. And if you're taking steps back, they're going to give it to Taj and he's going to get 5-6 yards of carry. And you're going to be sitting in 2nd and 4 the whole time. It's going to be hard to pressure. It's hard to pressure an RPO team, especially one that wants to play fast and wants to get the ball out fast, because are you just wasting the pressure? Because you're just not going to get there in enough time. It's not like he's taking 7-step drops. So, why bring pressure? The guys are never going to get there, and then you're going to be, outnumbered in the field.
And if he hands it off
to the opposite side, I mean,
then you've got three guys pressuring and a lot of space for Taj Brooks, a lot of grass.
I know me and you both will probably want to say Taj Ward about 20 times, but Taj Brooks, yes.
Yes.
So I don't think you're going to see, I wouldn't pressure a bunch if I'm UC. I'm going to play bend, but don't break. You're going to have to, 6-8 yards me to death. I'm not going to get guys out of position. I'm going to make you hand the ball off. I'm going to make you throw quick underneath. I'm just not going to put myself in a spot where you've got 4 wide and I'm bringing 5 or 6 and my guys are exposed. So I think you're going to see, a lot of drop 8. Can we get there with 3 on 5? We know that that's the issue. Eric Phillips has played well. Let's see him keep it up.
Yep.
They have a young center, so this could be a Dante Corleone game. How much pressure can he get up the middle? And can he because the quarterback's not really going to run. He's not like a dude that's going to take off on you. He's going to stand back there. He's going to throw it out quick. Receivers are good. I mean, Josh Kelly, 31 catches, 3 touchdowns. He's their main guy. I know that like Texas Tech puts out an injury report. Basically, if they're questionable, it sounds like in listening to Joey McGuire, if they're listed as questionable, they're playing unless something crazy happens in the week of practice.
Yeah, unless there's a setback.
Right. It's not questionable like the NFL questionable. It's like this guy had a thing, and I listened to him say it. He's like, this guy had a thing in the game. He came out. He may have even gone back in, but like we're putting him on here, but they're going to play. So he had a foot, I think, but I'm totally expecting him to play. And then
I would hope he had 2.
Well, yes, a foot issue, I should say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if he's got 31 catches and 3 touchdowns on 1 foot, I mean, that's pretty damn good.
You didn't say he didn't have 2 feet. You just said he had a foot.
He had a foot.
I was inquiring about the other one.
Oh, the other one. Yeah. So, Coy, Aiken, 3 touchdowns. Caleb Douglas, another receiver. Both of those guys have over 200 yards. I mean, they're running 80-ish plays, 50 throws, 30 runs on average, give or take. So they're good on third down, which you should. I mean, if you're running RPO well, you should be good on third down because you're probably in a lot of advantageous. If you get to third down, it's probably pretty third and short. Typically, if your running back's averaging 5 a carry, you should be in third and short a lot. So that's not a huge surprise. They're good on third down. They're not great in the red zone. Their touchdown percentage is 73rd. Guess where UC's red zone defense touchdown percentage is? This will probably surprise most people.
43%.
Well, I mean, nationally, like where do you think they are nationally?
I don't know. 18th.
5th.
5th.
They've only allowed 2 red zone touchdowns, and the funnier number maybe is they've only allowed 9 trips to the red zone in 4 games.
So that's kind of like that's the give and take of the 3-3-5 that nobody ever wants to talk about.
Yeah, it's the bend but don't break. We'll give up yards, just not points.
Right. And everybody wants it like you can't have both. If you're going to put 4 up front and you're going to be aggressive and you're going to blitz quarterback and you're going to leave your DBs on an island, you're going to give up big plays. You're going to give up long touchdowns. That's why the big plays have been concerning, Dave.
Right.
It's because that's the thing that this defense is supposed to prevent. And so far, it's really been about, like, at least the last 2 games, it's been all that's been super effective against them.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, bend but don't break, give up field goals, don't give up touchdowns in the red zone, and I think you'll put yourself in a good spot. The other number that's interesting is the UC defense has only played 117 snaps in the last 2 games.
Wow.
So
when you can't get first downs, you're not going to get a lot of snaps.
And I know Dante only played 29 snaps this past week, and a bunch of other dudes didn't really play much or play at all in the second half.
Right.
So you have what should be a rested and healthy defense going up against an offense that they have at least seen. They're not the same, but like Pitt runs at a similar pace.
Yeah.
So it's not
going to do similar things.
It's not going to surprise them that they run fast. Like they're not going to be, I don't know if they'll be caught off guard or anything like that, because they can at least say, hey guys, this is the same tempo-ish that Pitt ran. Like when the play's over, we're probably not subbing unless they're subbing, because we've got to get lined up and get ready to go. Well, unless Pluto's a Braves fan or a Phillies fan, then my shirt should be great because it's one of a team that might actually make the playoffs. Unlike most people listen to this podcast, their team never makes the playoffs. But so, you're going to, again, I think the drop 8 is probably going to be the thing that you're going to see. And I know people will probably get frustrated at giving up a bunch of yards, but it's really just going to come down to, can they limit the big play, and can they just, make a couple stops here and there? Because like we said, they're going to need to score. And I think
can they
score.
get this guy that turned it over 4 times against Washington State to turn it over?
Can we get that guy instead? Because those might be the only interceptions he's thrown, or maybe he's thrown one more.
Right.
Is the 2 in the Washington State game. So, he's a veteran guy. I don't think you're gonna fool him. They're gonna have experience on some level with the defense because of playing Iowa State. I'm sure Tyson Veit has his own little twists and stuff, but the idea of there's gonna be extra safety on the field, and this is what we need to do or not do in the pass game, and this is what we need to do and not do. It's not gonna be new to them. So you're just going to have to play really sound, tackle well, and, try to get a couple turnovers. And when they get to the red zone or the plus 30, get some stops.
Do you think it helps at all that you have this is where this is supposed to be an advantage, right, Dave? You have a new defensive coordinator, but you have a defensive coordinator that basically played Texas Tech every year for 7, 8
I'm sure
years.
It's gonna. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know.
That's part of why you hired Tyson
McGuire's
Veit.
only been there a few years, so I don't know the matchups of did Texas Tech play Iowa State over the last couple of years.
Well, no, they had to. It was a round robin.
Well, that's true. So yeah, they would have.
They had 10 games, 9 teams. Or 9 teams.
Yeah, so I'm sure
9 games, 10 teams.
I'm sure he's okay, this is what they had success against us at Iowa State. This is what we did well that they had trouble with. So absolutely. But it works the same way from Texas Tech
they're
side.
They're going to know this defense better than
right.
Than
it's probably and again, it's players, not plays. We might have had success against it because we had TJ Tampa and some other very, very veteran defensive backs that had been in this defense for 4 years, not 4 games.
Correct.
So, yeah, I mean, again, that's why I always say players, not plays, because it's hard to compare.
Yeah, but at least you've got a guy that you're not going in blind. I guess is a good way to put it.
Tell your dog I said hi.
I think Kelsey just got home, so. Yep, I hear footsteps.
I think it's a
Hey,
good.
what's up?
It'll be a good barometer type game, and I think there's some clear variance in how the quarterback, how Baron Morton has played, in 2 games versus the other 2 games. So, is that a coincidence? Is it that those 2 games are just those 2 defenses just could not match up at all with them, regardless of what they were doing? So, we'll see. You don't often see things that big of a divide between playing 2 teams and 2 others this early in the season, where the numbers are so glaring. But that's kind of all I have offensively. For them offensively. Defensively, you think UC's young. They are very young, and they're playing those dudes a ton of snaps. Arizona State game, 59% of the snaps were by true sophomores or younger. I think they said the total, if you added up all the snaps, by each guy, it was 440 snaps in that game were played by true softs or younger. So that's very, very young, very inexperienced. So of course they're trying to be simple with it and be good at the base. Let's be good at 1 or 2 things instead of throwing 10 different things at these kids that are talented but young. And I think that's where UC could have a pretty significant advantage, because UC has a very veteran offense. Outside of Shoresby being new to the offense, you're talking veterans across the board.
Yeah.
3, 4, and 5-year guys. So they play base nickel, which sounds great to me because that just means, like, I put it on my notes in all caps: run the damn ball. Run
They
the ball.
should not be able to stop the run.
Keep their offense off the field. If you're going to play base nickel and they don't get pressure, they have 3 sacks, because I don't think they're trying to overcomplicate things for the young guys. Like, play our base, be sound, be where you need to be, and we'll roll the dice with that. Because if we start getting guys moving all over the place, who the hell knows what's going to happen? So run the damn ball and do a ton of motion. I would be eye-candying the shit out of their defense. I'd have shifts, motions, fake bubble I mean, I would be having guys going in a million different directions to try to get
Mike McDaniel for a day.
Try to get those guys head spinning. Like, why is this guy doing this? Because you saw kind of, not that there was the motion, but like, that's how you bust the long runs on zone running, is you get linebackers to take a half step or a full step. Corey Kinder's run, looking at it from the end zone view, those 2 linebackers were washed so far out that he didn't even really have to cut it back. It was just cut it up, and there was nobody there. So they've got 2 freshman linebackers playing a ton. I don't know if they're quote-unquote starters, but they're playing a ton. A true freshman corner started his first game last week. The other corner is a true sophomore. Like, you need to be running all sorts of crossers and motion, like doing all. I mean, you see runs a ton of motion and shifts as is. I mean, they're always either motioning Royer out of the backfield, bringing Turner or Smith in a bubble situation, bringing a wide, like, do all that stuff. Get these guys moving, get their heads like just looking all over the place, because they're just not used to seeing that type of action. And then run the damn ball. Like, if you're going to play nickel against this offense, Corey Kiner should have a field day against that. And if he doesn't, then we're not going to win. So, like, you're playing 5 DBs, like, you better run it, be able to run it.
Right.
So, they're allowing 4.4 yards per carry, which is right by UC. Like, we're both in like the high 80s, low 90s in yards per carry. UC's has obviously gotten way better after the last 2 weeks. But they've allowed 12 rushing touchdowns, which is very high through 4 games.
3 a game is a lot.
Yeah. 89th in passer rating allowed. They do have 5 interceptions, so Sorsby's going to have to be mindful of where he's throwing the ball. They're 92nd in third down defense, which kind of equates when you have a young defense. And then red zone touchdown percentage is 87th. But the number that struck out to me the most is their red zone trips allowed is 130th. So they are letting you get to the red zone. And then and the red zone touchdown percentage isn't that good, but you've got to capitalize. MTSU and Kent State are the only teams that have allowed more trips to the red zone.
So when you say base nickel, 4-2-5?
I think. I haven't looked. I haven't watched it. I don't think it's the 3-3-5, so it's probably 4-2-5.
Yeah, if they have 5 DBs, that's nickel. So it would be either 3-3 or 4-2-5.
Yeah. So, and you see.
But Dave, if you run 4 down linemen, you automatically stop the run and get pressure on the quarterback.
Not in Lubbock, Texas, you don't. Because they're not stopping the run and they're not getting pressure on the quarterback.
You think their fans are like, why aren't we playing 3 down?
No, probably not.
I hate even fronts. God.
Probably not. They need to play the 5-2-4. Or is that even enough players? I don't know. I'm bad at math, but I think UC's offense can go in this game. Now, how much we'll see. But UC's success rate is just shy of 50% so far this year, which is very good. And yards per successful play is just under 14 yards per play. So both of those numbers are roughly top 20 in the country. You know,
seeing a lot of love for Brendan Sorsby.
The success rate of being just shy of 50% is roughly top 20, and yards per successful play at 14 yards is just shy of 14 yards is roughly top 20. So, you know, kind of like I said, Scott Satterfield, get in your bag, dude. Like, try to confuse the hell out of these guys. You have the offensive line to do it. You have the receivers to do it. It looks like you have the quarterback to do it. You know, get at them. Get these young guys moving, get their eyes playing tricks on them, and then, you know, get a couple turnovers, get a few stops. You know, they're going to move the ball, they're going to score some points, but can you just keep them? Can you give up 34 instead of 42?
Yeah,
I think you got a shot to go in there and win.
Concerned with the atmosphere. That sounds like a pretty wild place at night.
Oh yeah. They're going to be throwing tortillas at you on the benches and
corn or flour.
You know, I'm not sure on that.
Makes it different.
Yeah. I'm a big flour guy myself.
Me too. I prefer flour.
Corn's too grainy. I like the flour.
Yeah, but if you're at an authentic Mexican real taco truck, I like the corn because they're hand pressed, they're fresh.
Yeah,
they're not pre-produced. If I'm at a restaurant, flour for sure. Blackout tortillas will be flying. That is absolutely the case. So you've got to, the good news is, I guess, if you're looking,
you got to tune out the tortillas.
I'm going to put that on 3 keys on Thursday tomorrow night. Tune out the tortillas. What in the world?
What's going on?
Somebody's trying to connect their phone to my computer monitor.
That's a first. Is it someone in
I've
your
never
house?
seen that. No, Pierce. I don't know who Pierce is.
Alec.
Maybe.
Paul.
I mean, I think he's probably out of range
Paul
from
Pierce?
the Bluetooth for my monitor, but maybe Paul Pierce. He could be at my buddy Mikey's house next door. That's the first time I've ever seen that screen pop up on my monitor, ever.
Yeah.
That was weird. You're muted.
You're muted.
Greg Pierce.
It's probably Greg.
Probably Greg.
He's actually probably in my driveway trying to watch the show from my driveway.
Alex dad.
Alex dad, a longtime favorite of the network. Special teams.
Nothing jumped out. I think we're gonna have an advantage in most games, special team wise. I mean, this team has taken a significant jump in special teams overall as the season has gone, and definitely from last year. They're, I think, top 40 SP plus special teams. At one point, they were in the hundreds. I think a lot of that was based off of last year. It hadn't been adjusted for this year. So,
right.
But you're on the road. I mean, kicking it, Miami. Now, granted, it's a 55-yard kick, but kicking at Miami versus kicking at 11 o'clock at night in Lubbock, with the game on the line or something, totally different.
When you're not going to be home until 5 o'clock in the morning because
that's right.
Getting home from Lubbock is hard.
Because it's hard. Good thing we got a bye week the next week.
Yeah, I mean, it messes you up all week. It's hard. Kids can't even go to class.
So, I don't know.
Recycling efforts, the recycling club doesn't get to meet.
That's right. Oh, yeah, speaking of that,
what I was going to say real quick.
Yeah.
Storesby at Indiana has played well on the road.
Yeah.
Penn State was
played great at Penn State. Played really good at Illinois. Or I think that game was at
Illinois. Yeah, it was. So those were probably his 2 best games at IU were pretty rowdy, loud road games. So I'll give him that. That at least gives me some hope that he's been in.
Sure.
That Penn State atmosphere, I'm sure, was Penn State. Like,
I just think, like, I'll spoil the lead right now. I'm not going to pick them to win because I just need to see it. I need to see the defense play, and I need to see them go on the road and win a game other than Houston in the Big 12. But, like, they have to have a ton of confidence right now. I mean, that's everybody, offense, defense, special teams. Like, I think they're outside of Tinsley. I think they're pretty damn healthy.
I mean, there's some guys are dinged up, but
but I mean, really, like, it's not like they've had a bunch of dudes go out for the year in the first 4 games,
or like multiple weeks. I'm not sure about Sherman.
Guys, a bunch of guys that are like out for a month. So I mean, yes,
Michael McCalman had a really good game in place of Francis Sherman. Michael McCalman had a pretty good game in place of Francis Sherman.
He's the best tight end on the team last year, if you ask me.
Oh boy.
But no, I'm excited to see this game because it's like, I think the two teams are. I could see Tech win and I could see UC going in there and win. I think they both have advantages over the other team. Their running game against our running defense and kind of our run game versus their run defense. Which quarterback's going to give the ball to the other team? They are one kind of hidden stat, and I don't know if these can really be like to week, but they are one of the most penalized teams in the country. They're averaging
like
nine and a half
most in the country.
9.5 penalties a game. UC's at 4.8. So is that just again, what kind of, it's hard to get penalized 9.5 times all on like procedural penalties. There's got to be some
probably
some roughings and some extracurricular penalties in there. You're not going to jump off sides or line up wrong 9 times a game.
Young defense,
right?
Like that could be a big part of
little overzealous, maybe. A couple late hits or roughing the pat. Like, do you get some hidden yards there? UC has done an excellent job winning the field position game. Average drive start has been. It was way, way high. The Miami game was a little bit closer than the Houston game, but it was still like plus 30. All average drive start was, I think, 31 against Houston. It was even better than that against Miami. So, like, can you steal some yards there? Can Mace pin them deep once or twice? Like, really pin them deep once or twice. So, we'll see.
He's due for a couple like inside the fives because he's had.
It gets windy down there. He might bomb one out of the stadium.
He's had more touchbacks. It feels like this year than he's had his whole career.
Kick it over a mountain. I don't know how many mountains are that in West Texas.
Kick it straight over his fucking head.
But no, I'm excited for it. I mean, you look at the possibilities. If they go down there and win, then you're sitting super pretty. You got more confidence than you've had in a long time, especially in this tenure. I would even say back to Luke's last year. I mean, there really wasn't anything that gave you a ton of confidence on the field that year. I mean, I think we all thought that recruiting class was shaping up to be really, really good. But I don't know that they did anything on the field in 22 that blew your socks off.
Yeah, and you also get to a point where, like, if you're 2-0, the math is mathing, right? Like,
well, yeah, because the Big 12 is a crapshoot every week. I mean,
right. And
if you're one of the teams that can go on the road, I mean, road teams last week were 1-7. The only road team that won was Utah. At Oklahoma State. I mean, if you go on the road and you steal one, absolutely.
Prediction. We'll just go ahead. Have at it.
I'm gonna go Texas Tech 38, UC 34.
Decided obviously late. in some way, shape, or form.
Some way. I'm not. This is not a. I think Texas Tech is better pick. I think this is a. I just want to see UC play on the road against an offense that has breathable humans trying to breathing humans trying to execute it.
Are you saying Donovan Smith is a fish?
No, but
does he have a dorsal fin?
I just don't really know what Miami and Houston are trying to do offensively this year.
Yeah.
And I know what Tech's trying to do, and they have good players to do it. So I know, but I'm just saying, like, I just can't. I mean, it could very easily flip that score and still feel good about it. But I just want to see it.
Yeah. I think I'm leaning in that similar direction. I jokingly asked Tony Pike on the field at the end of the Houston game, "This guy's good," and Tony is the eternal pessimist.
I think the offense is G good.
He said, "Chad, they played one bad quarter. It was bad. It was significantly bad, but they've really only played one bad quarter."
Even teams that are 4-0, Georgia maybe, Tennessee certainly hasn't been trailing with the 3-4
Kentucky
team.
led Georgia at some point.
Did they? I don't know if they ever actually had the lead. I think they were always just right there.
Okay. I thought they kicked the field goal.
But I mean,
and then Georgia answered right back.
UC's trailed for 17 seconds this season.
Yeah.
Now, it was a very important 17 seconds, and it was very important 15 minutes that led up to that 17 seconds. But, like, they haven't really played bad football outside of that quarter. I mean, the first game was kind of it is what it is. But I think Miami's got a pretty good defense, and they just don't have enough. Like, they'll do all right in the MAC, but they just won't be able to score any points against the good teams.
They're not going to run the ball. Like, if you're not going to run the ball, it's going to be really difficult.
They ran the ball for twice as many yards in the first quarter against Notre Dame than they did against us for the whole game.
I saw that.
But yeah, I just show me you can take that next step. I'm coming into this game fully expecting them to score, fully expecting them to move the ball, but just don't be a sieve. Don't make it so easy that the offense can't keep up. Like,
don't let them have 7 possessions with 5 touchdowns and 2 field goals, and then a kneel down at halftime and a kneel down at the end of the game.
Right, kind of like UC did.
No, I was talking about what the Commanders did.
Yeah, and their quarterback throw 2 incompletions. Yeah, you don't lose a lot of games where your quarterback was like 80% for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, and your 2 running backs average like 7 yards a carry.
Unless you literally don't get a stop.
Not stop one. The other team. Ever stop.
Not once. They kneeled twice. Those were the 2 Bengals stops.
I mean,
they've
done it 2 games in a row.
Yeah. The Commanders haven't punted in 2 games. It's crazy.
They haven't turned it over either. I mean, they have not either scored or kneeled in 2 straight games.
That's wild. That's right, because it was all field goals.
Jaden Daniels has 2 games like that, and I think I saw some tweet. It was like Brady, Manning, Mahomes, maybe somebody else have 2 games combined in their entire careers that they did that.
All right. Well, show me. We're Missouri now, Dave. Show me.
I mean, I like a lot of the stuff that I've seen, but
if
you want to be a bowl team, if you have aspirations of being more than that, 7, 8 wins, like, this is the game that you have a chance to win. I don't think there's not any big secrets. It's not like you got to go out there and put an all-world effort, just go play with the way you've been playing, keep building on the way you've been playing, take care of the ball offensively, and they'll have a shot.
We talked a lot last year about talent gaps. I don't think there is one here.
Not in this. I mean, no, because they're playing so many young guys on defense.
Yeah.
Those guys might end up being really good players, but they're still freshmen and sophomores playing in their second Big 12 game and fourth college game, or if they're a sophomore, they probably didn't play it year as a true freshman. So, very similar situation.
All right, that's going to wrap up that portion of the show. Brought to you by Homefield Apparel, homefieldapparel.com. Code BCJ24, get 20% off. That's a timestamp. That's brought to you by Turtles Brew. 0 sugar, 0 carbs, gluten-free, 6% ABV. It's a bourbon-infused sweet tea. They have lemonade tea, strawberry mint, cherry lime, raspberry peach, orange vanilla. There's over 100 locations throughout Ohio. They have the plastic, like they look like the tea bottles that you get like sweet tea in, or they have the 12-ounce pouches. You can get them individual or in a 5-pack. Go to turtlesbrew.com for more information and locations. All right, Dave, you ready for your 6-pack? Or do you want to talk about some other stuff first?
Dude, I got to be honest. I was downtown today. I don't even have 6 games to. So if you want to talk about some basketball recruiting, I can dig up 6 games.
Let's talk through. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about. They obviously got their guy that they wanted in Keyshawn Tillery. The heir apparent at point guard. That's all right. We're gonna see where it goes from here. I
did all my prep yesterday because oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Just go ahead and find your we can talk through it live if you want. Like it's gonna be,
Well, I mean, Alabama, Georgia. I mean, that's kind of an important one in the landscape of the sport this weekend.
That should be great too, because at the Holy Grail there are so many TVs. UC will be on the big screen, but there's going to be quite a few TVs where you can check out what's going on with Bama, Georgia, that kicks off at 7:30. That's because we're having a watch party at the Holy Grail at the Banks Saturday night, 8:00. Come join us. It'll be a great time. I'm filibustering, Dave. Keyshawn Tillery. The heir apparent, I've talked to a bunch of people, up in the Northwest. That's one of the places that I probably know the most people because Mick Cronin recruited up there so heavily. So I have a bunch of contacts up there. A lot of guys that I talked to that are familiar with the NEPSAC, the New England Prep School Association, which is the best high school basketball league in America. They all love this kid. Love it. I talked to I talked about this with Berg. During the Nasty Natty back in July, I was asking Kane about him quite a bit. And he's like, he put 40 on us, dog, and he didn't even break a sweat. Like he just killed us for an entire game. Just dominated us. Passes, dump offs, dunks, layups, threes. Like he's that type of dude.
Like, I'm not gonna ask you to compare his game to anybody, but you obviously know some point guards are DeJuan Harris, who is a high level distributor, facilitator, doesn't really look to score. Some point guards are the opposite. I mean,
he's kind of in the middle. He was, I think, second in the EYBL in assists at almost 7 assists a game, but he can score. So he's got a little bit of both in his game. I think it'll be interesting when he gets to a college roster, and you'll probably see an evolution there where early he'll, depending on what the roster looks like, but early more of a facilitator, more of pushing tempo, putting pressure on defenses, driving kick, work to kind of make everybody else better.
It could just depend on the makeup of the roster. Like this year, we need you to be a floor general and feed these guys. This year, we need you to score because we just don't have the scoring that we had, the year before.
And I I think as a scorer, it's going to take, like, he's not going to walk into the Big 12 and be a 13, 14 point a night guy, I don't think.
Yeah, those guys are lottery picks.
Right. So, that's where he's going to have, because he does some of the other stuff well, if he picks up defense, he's going to be able to have a role right away, because he's not just, that's kind of what took Jizzle a lot of time last year. Is his reputation is as a scorer. It was not as a floor general type point guard. And he had to grow into that role. And he did a great job developing throughout the season. Then by the end of the season, he was ready to go and ready to turn up the dial. Tillery will go through those same growing pains, but he'll be able to help, I think, in a wider variety of ways than we saw from Jizzle in his freshman year. But Jizzle will probably still end up being a more prolific, like, scoring pop.
Yeah. For a high school kid, how is he defensively?
He's got a ways to go. I mean, he's good, and a lot of his issues are going to be like a lot of point guards. Their issues are going to be off the ball, because they've guarded the ball their whole life. Like, you're a point guard, you guard the ball. Yeah. So, he's going to be good at icing screens, getting over screens, playing, solid on-ball defense, knowing how to pressure, knowing how to, make guys uncomfortable. But what happens when the combo guard gets the ball and the point guard is running off screens and
the 6'4", 6'5" guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that part of it is going to have to be developed, but everybody I know that talks about this kid, that knows him, talks about how great of a kid he is and how good his work ethic is. So that's the type of guy you hope just can kind of come in, find his place on the roster and make an early impact. So they're excited about it. Like I said, I had someone close to the program tell me that they think there's a chance he's the most talented, impactful, however you want to put it, guy that they've landed out of the high school ranks since they got here. So,
yeah, give me 7 more of those guys.
Yeah, and then we'll see with I think they're still very much in the running for Davion Hannah. I know Trilly Donovan last week, a week and a half ago, was ready to call it for Alabama. Now he says that Missouri's offered so much money that it probably won't be able to be overcome. I'm not to that point yet. I do think Alabama's probably not in the picture anymore.
Who do you think's better, him or Abev?
Long term, probably Hannah. Like, the upside is crazy with him. The one thing that I worry about in the Big 12, Hannah is a notorious tough shot maker. And making tough shots, that's why I say down the road, he'll develop to where he can make those tough shots against bigger, stronger, more physical guys. But year one in the Big 12, what's going to be tough? Being a freshman that relies on making tough shots.
Yeah.
So, Abev is probably more wired as a natural scorer that would have an earlier impact, maybe than a Hannah that you're expecting to impact early, but the window is much wider than a guy like Abev, who I don't want to say that, I don't think they're similar type players, but like how Jaron Cumberland was wired to score.
Right.
Like, he was going to get buckets. I don't think he's a, big bully, dominate you, drive you to the rim type guy, but in his own way, he's a bucket getter. So that's, I think, the difference between the two. Hannah's a freak athlete and is going to be long-term really, really good. Do I think Tillery's ranking could jump higher? At this point, I always think that's pretty tough, Matt. you're getting into. They've the 25 class is done playing AAU. So they're going to play high school ball. Now, he is in the NEPSAC, but, you don't see guys make huge jumps in high school. He would have to get into some of the all-star games, which, given his ranking, like McDonald's, is probably going to be a little tough because you need to be like a top 20 guy, and he's a top 50 guy. But if you can get into some of the other the Under Armour deal or the Allen Iverson deal, and you play well there, you can help a little bit. But why I won't rule it out is this is a guy that from the beginning of the spring to now has jumped like 83 spots. So sometimes those guys aren't done climbing.
Right.
I just know past history, once we get to this point, you don't see a ton of movement because there's not another
pretty much
evaluation period.
Right. And you say some guys continue. I mean, he's already jumped that much. Like, is someone going to go back and then bump him up even more? They're like, I already just did it. Like, and then there's nothing that's changing at this point. So why am I going to go back and do it again on a guy?
Especially without an AAU weekend.
Right. That's what I mean.
Where you can go watch the kid a bunch.
Yeah.
So I don't think so, but I can't rule it out because we have seen him go from right around 150 to 50 in a spring and summer. So there are people that are still saying, Dave, show me more. I want to see it. And he took his 3-point shooting and jumped it way up this summer. And that's one of the things I think that got him, that jump going into the fall. But he's good. He's really good. Make Marty a regular. Best pod ever. Drew, I like to hear myself talk some. And I don't. You don't start your own podcast. Look, some people start a podcast, right? I didn't start a podcast. I started a 6 days a week network that I looked, Dave, over the past 12 months between the podcasts on video and the podcasts on streaming. 600,000 views in a year.
It's great.
It's pretty good. So yeah, having Marty as a full-time regular would be a damage to me getting to hear myself talk. And I don't know that I'm willing to go there yet. Maybe a little farther down the road when I'm like, all right, will you shut up? Maybe then. But let's be honest, I'm never going to shut up, Dave.
Probably not. Probably not.
All right. Do you have your 6-pack?
I do.
All right.
I do. I'm going to start.
The Turtles Brew 6-pack. I'm not going to do the read again. We just did it. Go.
I'm going to start South Florida at Tulane, ESPNU noon. I think the winner of this game has a leg up on that, I'm going to say 12th seed because the G5 is not having a good year. I think those guys are probably the two most talented teams in the AAC. And I think whoever makes it out of the AAC is getting that bid. So I just think that's an interesting game. You have a very offensive-centric coach.
You don't think UNLV is going to get it?
Well, one, they're not in the AAC, and two, it sounds
no,
like
I mean the group of 12, the group of 5.
Well, probably not if their starting quarterback isn't going to play anymore, but that's for another discussion.
We'll have that in a minute.
You just have a very offensive-minded head coach in Alex Golish going up against a very defensive-minded head coach in John Summerall. So it's an interesting battle and in contrast styles. And, a fun nooner to watch as you get ready for the UC game. Let's see. Game number 2. There are a lot of just fun, interesting Big 12 games that I would like to pick. But I would not. What?
You can do Big 12 stuff. You can do the only thing I don't want you to do on the brunch is cover the whole Big 12. If there's a game or two or three that you want, you're allowed to talk about those things. It's not like you're embargoed on all Big 12.
I know, but leave that to you guys. But okay.
You're giving different thoughts. You're not saying, do they only talk about something once on ESPN?
Well, no, they talk about
nobody else's the exact same things over and over.
They talk about the NFC East every day, and there aren't any good teams in that division. So, I'm gonna go to Orlando. I'm gonna say the Colorado UCF game is a fun one. 3:30 Fox, big noon kickoff's gonna be there. You know, I think first true look at UCF. They've played 2 FCS teams. So, we're going into week 5. Not sure we know. They're 3-0. They beat TCU with a pretty big comeback. I'm not sure what TCU is now after they got iron skilleted by SMU last week. So
this is gonna sound crazy to you, Dave. I'm out on Sonny Dykes.
I was never in to be out.
Right. That's fair.
And what Travis Hunter is doing. If we're only 4 games in, and I'm gonna be furious if he plays all 12 games and anybody else wins the Heisman.
Yeah.
Like, he's a generational talent that is playing at an unbelievable level. I think he's appointment viewing. So this is appointment viewing to watch him play. Then I'm gonna go Georgia Bama, 7:30 ABC.
Out on a limb.
Good. I think I like Bama.
Do you?
Because it's at home. I think that Jalen Milroe is playing absolutely out of his mind. Like, he's playing great football. And they have a freshman wide receiver, Ryan Williams, who is not even 18 years old. And he is already like a major factor. I'm not sure Georgia's defense is quite where it's been the last couple of years. I mean, it's still very, very good. And their secondary especially has some legit dudes. Malachi Starks is probably a first rounder. But I don't know. I think I like Kalen DeBoer and what that offense is doing right now, and how the way Milroe is playing, being at home, night game. Like, I think I like Bama in that one. 7:30 NBC, 4-0 Illinois at 3-0 Penn State. I think this is a fun game. I think you've got 2 offenses. Luke Altmaier is playing really good quarterback for Illinois, and I think Drew Aller is playing really good quarterback for Penn State, in large part because, and we're seeing this on the opposite way for Kansas, Andy Kotelnicki leaving Kansas as offensive coordinator seems to really be having an effect on Jalen Daniels and that offense, and has really pumped up what Penn State is doing. So I think that's a fun game to watch there. Washington State at Boise State, FS1, 10 o'clock. We finally get like a couple decent late nighters. Ashton Genty, we talked about it earlier. I mean, the dude is averaging 10 yards a freaking carry. And it's not on like 8 carries a game. I think he's getting like 25 carries a game. Is absolutely awesome. Washington State 4-0. So, fun game there. We'll stick with the late nighters. I'll go Arizona, Utah, 10:15 ESPN. Isaiah Wilson, I think Isaac Wilson stepped in for Cam Rising. Not sure if Cam Rising is going to play. They still didn't really have much problem going to Oklahoma State and winning. I love Arizona's quarterback and receiver, but it kind of seems like they maybe don't have much else. I mean, they were kind of my dark horse Big 12 title team because they have a really, really good corner too. But it feels like it's maybe a 3-man show, and especially on offense, if you can slow down Tet McMillan, you have a pretty good shot because I don't think their defense is very good, and I think Utah can bully them a bit because they seem to bully everyone.
Yes.
Whether it's in the Pac-12 or the Big 12. Is that only 5? Do I need to find another one? I think that was only 5.
You can do 5, I guess. I think that's only 5.
There's some Big 12 games that I like because of the nervousness factor. Like the loser of TCU Kansas is not really feeling great for the rest of the season. And at a lesser extent, the loser of Oklahoma State, Kansas State. Like probably because those two teams had visions, and they still might be, because I think the Big 12 is just going to beat up on itself. But like the loser of that is 0-2 in conference.
Yeah.
And those two teams were probably thinking like we're in that top group to go to the conference championship game. And then the other game, it's TCU coming off an awful loss to SMU. And Kansas is just 1-3 and just they blew a 10-point lead with 3 minutes to go at West Virginia after another super long rain delay. If they go 1-4, like, I mean, what are we then at that point?
Right. They're not in a good mood in Lawrence, Kansas.
They're definitely being like, when does basketball season tip off? They're at that point, I'm sure, already.
Yeah.
So
I'll save it for after the show. I'll just say I think everybody's going to love
there's actually some other good games.
I was going to say everybody's going to love the basketball Big 12 home opener that gets released tomorrow at 2:00.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
Rock
Chalk Jayhawk, go KU?
No.
Okay.
That's the only
it's a players program.
It's not Kansas.
A players program.
It's not Kansas.
Okay.
Keep going. Sorry.
But no, there's some other this week. I think there's some actual like Notre Dame, Louisville. I think it's a fun game. Wisconsin, USC. We'll see who bounces back from some tough losses last week in that one. Yeah, good slate. Good week to have a road night game. You'll get to watch a lot of quality games in the 12 and 3:30 window.
Matt, if you can't, yeah. Do you want to get into this UNLV stuff?
Not really, because I need to drive downtown. So,
okay.
No, I don't, because I don't know a ton about it, and I know if we start talking about it, it'll take 30 minutes to like talk through it, and I don't really have 30 minutes to do that.
All right, I'll let you go then. I don't have to pick up Kelsey late tonight, so maybe get an early nightcap and try to sleep. I haven't slept in like 3 days.
That's going to be me the next couple days.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that about wraps it up then. As we go an hour shorter. Dave and I talk an hour less than Marty Gilliard.
We have a 2-hour window.
It's been a week. That's the BCJ podcast, brought to you by the Holy Grail. We'll see everybody Saturday night right here on BearcatJournal.com.